Good evening to each one of you present today. On behalf of the Committee on MSME and Startup ICAI, we offer our gratitude to all the participants joining in this virtual CP meeting. We convey our regards to the resource person of the day, Dr. Ajay Garg. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and coming over the VCM.
Thank you.
The schedule of the VCM will focus on MSME schemes for food processing industries. It will include the issues to address the various aspects of the topic. I wish this VCM enlightens us and provide us with the approaches to deal with the issues of tomorrow. I am profoundly delighted to take an opportunity to introduce Dr. Ajay Garg, speaker for the evening. Dr. Ajay Garg did his postgraduate in economics, commerce, and management. Besides LLB, he is fellow member of ICSI and ICAI, Indian Council of Arbitration, and done his PhD, and regular speaker in various forums of ICAI. So without consuming any time, I would like to call upon Dr. Ajay Garg to enlighten us with his words of true wisdom. Sir, I am handing over the session to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Samvid. And very good evening to all the participants who are attending today's session. And this is under initiative of Central Committee on MSME. And today's topic is MSME schemes for food processing industries. Food processing industry and MSME schemes. We will be talking in particular about MSME schemes related to food processing industries. And my credentials already shared by Dr. Samvid, we can skip it. And as usual, I love to start the session with the story. And there is a small story to brighten up the evening. And the story goes like this. There was a woodcutter in a kingdom. A king got trapped in the forest. But woodcutter saved the king from the problems of the forest. King was very happy, and he said to the woodcutter that this particular woodcutter was very happy for this generosity of the king. And thereafter, the things King went back to his palace. Woodcutter started his daily routine. And rest of the story we will discuss at the end of the session. And now let us focus on today's topic, MSME schemes for food processing industries. Because topic is twin. On one side, food processing industry is there, and on another side, MSME schemes are there. So let us talk about MSME scheme, MSME first. That earlier, all of you are professional, but still my duty is that I shall recollect whatever is there. MSME Development Act was in 2006. Prior to this, there was SSI Undertaking Act 1993. And with MSME, there were two important changes. Earlier, prior to 2006 in India, there were only two scales, small scale and large scale. Whereas after 2006, now there are four scales, micro, small, medium, and large. Means that small scale got further subdivided into three. And let me make it slideshow. And let us go for the first change was that small scale got subdivided into three, micro, small, and medium. And another important change was that industry got replaced with enterprise. And with this replacement, service sector also got included in the definitions of micro, small, and medium for the first time in 2006. As of now, Udyam registration is there. Earlier it was Udyog Aadhaar memorandum, Udyog Aadhaar number. Prior to Udyog Aadhaar, it was known as Entrepreneur Memorandum. And prior to Entrepreneur Memorandum, who are in practice for more than 15 years, then prior to 2006, this was known as SSI certificate, and it was issued by District Industries Center. Means the journey which started with small scale industry certificate moved from SSI certificate to EM, from EM to Udyog Aadhaar number, and presently this registration is known as Udyam registration. And without this registration, any MSME unit is not eligible to take the benefits or avail the subsidies which are available either by central government or by state government. Means as passport is important for visa, similarly this Udyam registration is important for MSME. And without this registration, they are not eligible to avail various benefits and subsidies which are available under various ministries of central government or with various state governments. Today we are focusing on food processing industry. And as far as food processing industry is concerned, in all, there are 3 schemes. And see these 3 schemes, that PM-FME scheme. PM-FME scheme is basically for micro food processing enterprise. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana is basically for middle level units, whereas PLI SFPI is basically for focusing on exports, promotion and import reduction. And this is for a specific industry so that foreign exchange outgo on account of import can be reduced and exports can be encouraged. You know that today there is a challenge, and with this challenge, the government is focusing on food processing industry, and there are 3 schemes. We will be talking primarily about the schemes which are there for MSME sector under food processing industry. That means as far as production linked scheme is concerned, we will be taking only passing reference. As far as PMKSY is there, we will be discussing it. As far as PM-FME scheme is there, we will be discussing it in detail. As far as PM-FME scheme is there, this scheme, total outlay for this scheme is 10,000 crores. There is a target that there shall be 2 lakh beneficiary units. The period, with period, you can understand that this is recent scheme, recently launched, and there is still 5 years to go for this scheme. Cluster approach, non-cluster approach and cluster approach. As far as these 2 PM-FME and PM-KSY are concerned, there is a cluster approach that cluster units will be preferred. Focus area is perishable item because we are talking about food processing industry. But even in food processing industry, there may be 2 categories. Category 1, non-perishable items, and category 2, perishable items. Means focus area for PM-FME, that is basically for micro units, that is not non-perishable but perishable items. Anyway, let us talk in toto about these 2 schemes, PM-KSY and PM-FME scheme. As far as PM-KSY scheme and PM-FME schemes are concerned, from the point of view of professional, first of all, cold chain attracts my attention as a professional. When I say cold chain, that means that this is different from cold storage. Cold chains also include the mobility vans, which are refrigerated mobility vans. Similarly, creation and expansion of food processing and preservation capacities, that also attracts my attention as a professional. Now, creation of backward and forward linkages. This may be very interesting if any of you has not worked in food processing industry subsidies, that to understand what does it mean when we talk about creation of backward and forward linkages. But this is very simple. We are talking about food processing industry, we are talking about creation of food processing units. And what is backward and forward linkage? In brief, if food processing industry goes for marketing, networking, or it goes for further linkages for the purpose of distribution, that is forward linkages. And backward linkages is aggregation of raw material or primary processing of the raw material for food processing industry, that is known as backward linkages. There are subsidy schemes for this creation of backward and forward linkages as well. We will discuss human resource and institutions, research and development institutions. Here also, there are subsidy schemes for public sector as well as for private sector. The outlay for private sector and the percentage terms for private sector is less. For public sector, this is more. Skill and development, skill angle is there so that technically qualified skilled workers are there. That is the purpose, that wherever there is shortage, there should be skill development, and there are schemes for even designing the courses or translating the courses. We will be discussing these schemes as well in today's session. First of all, let us talk about cold chains. Cold chains, as I was talking, that when we say cold chains, that includes cold storage as well as mobile vans, mobile units, where refrigerated position is possible. That means cold chain includes not only stationary cold storages, but also includes the vehicles. That means stationary and mobile both. Proprietorship, this scheme is available for proprietorship firm. This scheme is available for companies, but not only for business entities. This is also available for cooperatives. This is available for self-help group. This is available for NGOs. This is available for PSUs. That means whole spectrum. This is not necessary that a company shall be formed, only then this subsidy will happen. Even if it is farmer producer organization, even if this FPO is registered under Cooperative Societies Act, even if suppose some NGO which is driven by the farmers or non-farmers, but this is for the good for the creation of the cold chains, even then this subsidy is available. What for is this subsidy? This subsidy is for eligible plant and machinery. This eligible plant and machinery, this is given in the scheme. We will just glance through what all is there in the scheme. And eligibility, in addition to plant and machinery, technical civil work. See, as far as building is concerned, as far as land is concerned, no subsidy. As far as general part of the building, no subsidy. But wherever technical civil work is involved, then this subsidy is available. And now for storage infrastructure, the subsidy amount, and for irradiation facilities and processing, the subsidy quantum in terms of percentage is different. Now let us go to the website and let us see what all is there in this scheme. And I will be stopping the sharing of this PPT here, and we will see what all is there in that website. Let us go and let us see whether something is there, and if that something is there, what is that something. Now see, PMKSY. First of all, PMKSY, about which I took only 5 verticals, because as a professional, these 5 verticals attracts me. The mega food park I have left because this is primarily non-MSME. We were talking about the cold chains. Let us click on cold chain and let us see what all is there in cold chain. Site is taking little time, but let us see if this opens in next 30 seconds. We will go for it. Otherwise, we will move on for the next scheme, and then again we will come back to the portal. Yes, now this cold chain is there at your screen, and here one officer has also been deputed to take care of this scheme, and time to time changes may be there, and this scheme has been refurbished. This scheme has been refurbished. Now see the pattern of assistance, and this is the pattern of assistance that for general areas the subsidy amount is 35%, whereas for hilly areas, for difficult terrains, the subsidy amount increases to 50%. In case of value addition and processing infrastructure for frozen storage, deep freezers, etc., the grant in aid increases from 35% to 50% and from 50% to 75%. And here you can note that the total amount of grant is released in 3 portions, 3 installments. Anybody interested can download the latest guidelines, and after downloading the latest guidelines, you can understand the scheme as a professional, and wherever needed you can go for and can apply for this. Here is one particular very interesting thing. Because this scheme is for, now see this, maximum grant in aid would be 10 crore per project. Not a small amount. And let us come back to our PPT. What we have understood that in reference to cold chains, this subsidy is possible and maximum amount of subsidy is 10 crores. And on the other side, we have understood that this subsidy of 10 crores means this is 35%, means overall cost of the project is, as far as plant and machinery is concerned, is 30 crores. And if you go to the definition of MSME, then you will realize that primarily this scheme is for micro and small enterprises, because this is maximum quantum of subsidy. If suppose medium sector enterprise is there and there is investment of more than 50 crores in plant and machinery, then it will shift from small category to medium category. But what will happen that the maximum grant is restricted to 10 crores only, therefore grant amount will be 20% or less than that if it is medium enterprises. Whereas in case of micro enterprises, 35% is the upper ceiling, means if total investment in technical civil work and eligible plant and machinery for this purpose is say 4.5 crore, as the limit is there, then as per the according to limit that is to be taken care of. Let us go to the next scheme. Food processing and preservation units. For food processing and preservation unit, the maximum subsidy is 5 crores for the purpose of creation of fresh unit or for expansion. Both purposes here also, not only the business entities, but non-business entities in the form of NGOs, self-help group are business entity, but not in the pure way as we understand the business. FPOs, farmer producer organizations, are for the benefit of the members, but they can distribute the profits. This is the way they work, and this subsidy is available for all sorts of entities. Minimum investment 3 crores. And minimum investment in hilly areas is 1 crore. Promoter's equity minimum 20% in normal areas, and in super normal areas, that means hilly terrains which are specifically mentioned in the scheme, that is 10%. And eligible project cost 35% and 50%. This is quantum of subsidy. Quantum of subsidy 35% or 50%, and but subject to maximum ceiling of 5 crores. Preference first is mega food park. That means units which are there located in the mega food park. That is the first preference. Second preference is agro clusters. Third preference is designated food parks. And this 5 crore is not for one mega food park. That scheme is different. As far as this creation and expansion of units is concerned, this maximum subsidy of 5 crores this is per unit. And details are available on the same site. Now let us talk about backward and forward linkages. As we were talking about that, backward and forward linkages are in relation to the food processing units. Food processing units, what can be the backward linkages? Primary processing or collection centers. For example, the Muzaffarpur area in Bihar, where particular type of crop, which is known as makhana in Hindi, that is there. So then what happens that collection centers are needed because this is agro produce, and this get produced in ponds where water is in plenty, and to take this out and then to clean it and then to uncover it, there is primary processing is required at the end of the farmer, or collection centers are also required. Only then this makhana can be processed in the food processing unit. So then for this backward and forward linkages, similarly forward linkages is connectivity through insulated or refrigerated transport, because otherwise what will happen that quality as may deteriorate. And for forward and backward linkages, there is separate subsidy. This may be taken by the same entity, or this may be by some other entity which is connected with the food processing unit, or involved primarily in only primary processing or in modern retail outlets and connectivity through insulated and refrigerated transportation. Here again the eligibility 20%, 10%. 20%, 10% means for plain areas minimum promoter's equity 20%. For hilly areas, minimum promoter equity 10%. As far as subsidy amount is concerned, this is 35% and 50% of eligible project cost. Technical, civil work and eligible plant and machinery. This is eligible plant and machinery means there is a list, and if out of this list plant and machinery which is for the purpose of primary processing or for the purpose of connectivity, transportation, proper transportation, that is covered here. In collection centers, some technical civil work may be in the form of where goods are preserved and wastages are less. Therefore, civil work in such units are subdivided into two categories: non-technical civil work and technical civil work. Subsidy is available for technical civil work. For non-technical civil work, there is no subsidy. And focus area is perishable, horticulture and non-horticulture produce. Horticulture means fruits and vegetables, and non-horticulture produce also are covered here, but primarily focus is on perishable products. Let us talk about research and development. As far as research and development is concerned, the whole R&D centers are subdivided into two categories: government organizations, universities and institutions, and private organizations, private universities and private institutions. Grant for government organizations, government universities, government institutions is more for R&D purpose, that is even up to 100%. And their cost of equipment, consumables and project specific staff salaries, three components are there. As far as private organizations are concerned, this project specific staff salaries are not covered, and cost of equipment and consumables are covered in reference to the subsidies. And this subsidy amount in case of private organizations for plain area is 50%, for hilly area this is 70%, but for government organizations, government universities and government institutions, this is up to 100% and also includes project specific staff salaries. Let us talk about skill center. Skill center for food processing industry. As you know that as of now, most of the ministries of central government are supported by one specific institute. Same is there with food processing industry also, NIFTM. There is a specific institute for food technology, and still there is a scheme for setting up a skill center, sector specific skilled workforce, and purpose is not to create general manager but to create the skilled workers, floor level workers, operators, packaging and assembly line workers, quality control supervisors in reference to food processing industry. Development of course curriculum and training modules. And for this, what happens that for development of course curriculum and training modules, there is a provision of grant up to 5 lakh rupees. If these courses are already developed by NSDC, then this grant is not available. Then this grant is available. One need to understand only for designing of the new type of course which is not yet designed. And for translation work, this grant is 50,000 rupees. For setting up of a skill training center, this grant is up to 15 lakh rupees maximum and 50% of plant and machinery. Because this is food processing industry, in food processing industry for a skill center, there may be need of plant and machinery to subsidize that so that skill centers come up all across India. This 50% subsidy component is there. This is primarily 5 components of PMKSY, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. But there is another scheme which goes with the name PMFME, and PMFME is basically for micro units, micro food units. And in this, we will talk in reference to specific clusters. As a professional, you may not be interested in small work, but if you are in the age bracket of more than 45, then I will advise you to do hand holding at least of one small unit in your district so that you can enjoy the smile of success on the face of micro entrepreneur. But if you are in the age bracket of less than 45, then you may avoid working with these units because their capabilities are, in comparison to their paying capabilities, are less, and they are just hand to mouth units. And government has come up with this PMFME scheme particularly for such individual units, so that these units can come to the quality level and things can happen for them. And this support is to individual as well as for group of individual in the form of SHGs. This is for common branding and marketing support, because individual branding or individual marketing for such micro units, it is not possible. This support is there for institutional setup. This support is there so that project management framework can be created for them, maybe in relation to backward linkage or maybe in relation to the forward linkage. This another component of PMFME scheme is for capacity building, because in this capacity building, there the care can be taken for providing the skilled staff to such micro units. I want to tell you that there is dedicated child portal for this particular scheme, because this scheme targets approximately 2 lakh units in next 5 years all across India. That means someone somewhere will certainly take the benefit of the scheme. Whether that person, that individual entrepreneur who is just running a small bakery will get the benefit or not, it depends on your hand holding. But I am again repeating, at the cost of repetition, I want to tell, if your age group is 45 plus, you may enjoy the smile on the face of that small bakery wala. But if you are in the age bracket of less than 45, then you may ignore these schemes which are for micro entrepreneurs. Let us just glance through this particular portal so that you can understand this in a better way. I am taking you to the portal. I will be unsharing the PPT, and we will be going through the portals so that in future, whenever in need, you can glance through the portal and you can connect there. And I'm trying for portal. Let us see whether this opens. Yes, portal is there, and now I must share the screen. This is specific portal on the main portal of Ministry of Food Processing Industry. This portal is dedicated for PMFME, because this PMFME scheme is for micro food entrepreneurs. And you must have heard one district, one product scheme, ODOP scheme of Government of India. And this ODOP scheme, yes, subsidies are there under various ministries for this ODOP scheme, where one district, one product. That means state governments have been given to identify, responsibility to identify the product which has the potential to become global product for the district. Now question comes that if one district has been selected for one specific product, whether the entities which are existing for other products, whether they are eligible for the benefit or not. Answer is yes, they are eligible for the benefit. But new units, preferably ODOP units, will be preferred as far as food processing is concerned. Now see what all is there on this portal. On this portal, a scheme brochure is there, scheme brochure second, and then a scheme guidelines. How to apply? I want to tell you that now, because online filing of application is possible, therefore dirty practices have reduced, and this has become relatively, I will not say easy, but I will say relatively easy to get connected with the scheme and to avail the benefit in comparison to earlier legwork which my generation used to do for visiting the particular offices. Here, I want to invite your attention particularly for the scheme setup. And in scheme setup, you need to visit this 25, item number 25. This item number 25 talks about the state nodal department in charge and state nodal officer. Similarly, there are district resource person at 31. Capacity building syllabus handbook for district resource, but there is a list of district resource person also, and we will identify that list as well, so that you can identify the person who is designated as district resource person in your district. Wherever, in whichever district you are, you can get connected with that person so that things are easy and you understand the hierarchy to avail the benefit of the scheme. Let us see this list of approved state level technical institutions, and thereafter at 25, list of 35 PM FME state nodal department and in charge. And this is just so that you understand that yes, information is available, updated information is available, and you can find out your state here, and you can find out the email ID so that you can get connected with the proper person if you want to work in the field of PMFME. And this is list for all states and UT. Anyway, now let us go back. And now let us come back to our PPT. Dedicated portal, yes, that is there. We have seen scheme brochure is available on dedicated portal. Scheme guidelines are available on dedicated portal. Capacity building guidelines are also available. And this capacity building is not only for the entrepreneur, but this capacity building material is also available for district resource person, because that district resource person used to change, and whenever new district resource person is there, he is expected to undergo the training, so that through training he himself can develop the capabilities to handle the matters whenever matters comes to him. Consultants and young professionals, these are hired by the ministry. Online filing link and other info and many more are there available. Forms are also available. Online registration, online creation of login ID and password. The whole process of filing online starts from there. And district resource persons are there to do the handholding, to guide in case there is any challenge. Now, let us talk about what all is there for micro food processing unit. I already told you that if your age bracket is less than 45, you may ignore this portion, because here the income may not be of your expectation. But let us discuss the scheme that for individual entrepreneurs, credit linked capital subsidy scheme up to 10 lakh. Means if he will take the credit for upgradation of plant and machinery, for upgradation of unit, or for expansion of unit, only then this subsidy of 10 lakh rupees will happen to him. Otherwise, subsidy will not happen. Then FPO, SHG and cooperatives, self-help groups, cooperative societies, farmer producer organization, credit linked subsidy at the rate of 35% for entire value chain. Common infrastructure, as I was talking about, one district, one product, ODOP. In ODOP, there is a focus that there should be common infrastructure for micro entrepreneurs. This common infrastructure may be in the form of laboratory, this may be in the form of warehouse, this may be in the form of cold chain, this may be, and wherever this common infrastructure is created, then there is a subsidy component of 35%. Common packaging, because for individual entrepreneur into food processing industry, this may not be possible. Therefore, under ODOP, there is a provision for common branding and common packaging. And in this particular case, for common branding or common packaging, there is a provision of 50% subsidy, so that these small micro units can up to the national, state or global standards. They usually don't have these facilities of common packaging or laboratory or warehousing or cold chain or proper warehousing. Therefore, there is a provision so that they can come up and they can also enjoy the fruits of organized retail market. See, there is a difference. Now in India, this retail market can be further subdivided into two categories. Category 1, the street stores. Category 2, stores or outlets which are located in the malls, where goods are sold through bar-coded machines. And in street shops, how the goods are sold? Goods are sold through maximum retail price, which is mentioned there. And goods which are there in the mega stores, their goods are not sold on the basis of MRP, but they are sold on the basis of barcode, which is there in the form of white and black lines. And these micro units fails to get orders from them because they do not understand these later versions, this barcoding system. Therefore, there is need was felt for common packaging and common branding, and therefore this subsidy was introduced. And how to contact? One can contact through state nodal agency. There may be, after going through these schemes, let us go through some of the questions. These questions will help you. These questions are also available on various portals. First of all, let us understand that for more clarity, where one can contact, there is helpline number. This 91 is India's country code, and then this 11 is for Delhi, and then this number is there. Where can I see DPR? Some youngsters may like to see detailed project reports before preparing a detailed project report for their client. So then this detailed project report is also available, and this is available at the portal, and you can, on this portal, you can visit and you can see the detailed project report, and taking the templates from there, you can prepare the DPR. Means one of the assignment which happens at the table of the professional whenever subsidies are there, that is DPR. And this detailed project report for availing the subsidy is different from the project report which we understand and prepare for term loan. Because subsidy is nothing but gap funding. If there is no gap, means no funding. So we need to understand, and to understand it better, whenever you get opportunity, you can visit and you can see this DPR, detailed project report. Let us visit one detailed project report. Let us see whether we can reach there, whether we can go there. Let me try, and let us see, is it possible? Can we go to DPR? I am opening the portal so that we can see, and we can just glance through the DPR if it is possible. Yes, and this is the time to share the screen so that we can just glance through one of the DPR just for so that youngsters, young professionals understand. See this model detailed project report. This project report does not run into 150 pages, but this is up to 29 pages, this particular report, and this is for Apple Jam processing unit. More or less things are same, but only thing is that these detailed project report, if you have not yet prepared your first project report for subsidy funding, then this will help you so that you at the end of the day your client gets the benefit. And just let us visit page number 19 of this report. Now see means of finance at page number 3. This page number 3 first of all talks about total project cost, and after total project cost at point number 15 the means of finance are mentioned over there, and here you can see that total project cost of 34 lakh rupees is subdivided not into 2 but 3 portions. One is promoter's contribution, another one is term loan, which usually we have whenever we apply for loan, and that is means of finance. But here there is third component, that is subsidy grant by MOFPI, and this grant is maximum 10 lakh rupees. Therefore, this is also built over here. Now, let us go to page number 19. This is for youngsters. The professionals of my age group understand all these things. This is just refresher hours for them, but let me talk from the angle of the youngsters as well. Now see total project cost and means of finance, and here you will see that the information which was on page 3 is mentioned there, that this 34 lakh rupees is project cost, total project cost, and means of finance talks about this subsidy of 10 lakh rupees. We can stop sharing it. This was just so that youngsters can understand the possibilities. Yes, we are now back to our slides. We were talking, where can I see DPR? Yes, you can see DPR, and DPRs are available there. Which food segments are covered under PLI scheme? Now this PLI scheme, I didn't tell you when we were discussing, but because this session is focused on MSME. But production linked incentive scheme is the latest thing about which each of us need to understand. That focus of PLI scheme is import substitution or export promotion. And these schemes are primarily to attract mega investment in the specifically identified sectors. Here, as far as MOFPI is concerned, mozzarella cheese, because this is imported in big way in India and market is expanding for that. Marine products, then vegetable products, ready to cook and ready to eat items. Why the share of Maggi is in 5 digits? Then this PLI scheme. What is this ODOP concept? One district, one product. And one district, one product, so that, as I told you, that this cluster approach, the preferences are identified, that First preference is mega food park, second preference is cluster, and then that way these preferences are decided at the time of subsidy. So this ODOP, so that the district having the potential of multiple similar units, some common facilities can be created over there. That is the purpose. Now there may be a question in your mind, where can I see ODOP of my district? Yes, you can see this one district, one product, that wherever you are, what is the product identified for your district? You can see this list. This list is available, and by way of visiting this list, you can identify the potential. You can get connected for creation of the common facilities, and there when you will give your services, you will enjoy the fruits of the success for release of the subsidy and other things. Is PMFME available for upgradation? There may be a question in the young professional's mind that whether this PMFME scheme is available for upgradation. But before that, because Samvidji told me that keep the session practical and so that young professionals can understand all the things, let us go and let us see whether this ODOP list is there or not. And I am again stopping this PPT so that we can see this ODOP list. MOFPI. And in MOFPI, let us go for PMFME. In PMFME, we will get the list. And let me connect with the portal again. We are now sharing. Let us see. One district, one product list. List of approved ODOP is at serial number 19 of 35 states. So then you can identify from this list what is the product identified for your district. And as far as this list is concerned, this list is for food processing industry. Now see, this list, this makhana foxnut is mentioned at serial number 1. In Ahmedabad, Gujarat, at serial number 1, wheat-based products, that is under ODOP. In Haryana, now see, in Haryana, all the 22 districts and one ODOP item from food processing is mentioned. In Jhajjar at serial number 8, you can see guava is there. So that way, through this list, you can identify the product which is there for your district. Let us come back to the slides. Is it mandatory to choose ODOP product? Yes, for new unit. For existing unit, no. Existing unit may be even from non-ODOP product. Even if it is non-ODOP, for expansion, for upgradation, for adoption of latest technology, this is possible. There is one more concept as far as subsidy is concerned, and this concept is known as one person, one family, OPOF. This concept says that as far as microprocessing units are concerned, the benefit of subsidy will be available to one person in one family. More than one person of the same family will be discouraged to avail the benefit of subsidy, because this is for individual micro entrepreneurs, so that through multiple subsidy, dirty practices are not there. To avoid the dirty practices, this concept of one person, one family has been adopted in this PMFME scheme. After completing this PPT, we will, in some more detail, we will go through the various aspects of PMFME scheme. And this is one of the critical aspects, one person, one family. Whether online application possible? Yes, it is possible. How difficult it is? My view is, for chartered accountant, nothing is difficult. This is his duty to make difficult things easy. How can I connect with district nodal point or nodal officer? So district nodal point or nodal officer, that is also there, and that list is there. One can connect with this list and district nodal officer, district resource person. How can I connect with district resource person? One can possibly connect with the district resource person also. And this list is centralized, list is available, but if there are hope that there are no changes and the same person continues, if the person has changed, then contact information might not have been uploaded on this list. You have to take the chance for the district resource person and district nodal officer of your district, and we will be going through the scheme now in more detail. We were talking about this woodcutter and the king story. Let us finish this story at this juncture. That what happened, that after 1 year, suddenly when king was passing through the same forest, he thought, okay, let me meet with the woodcutter to whom I gave this specific forest. He went, he saw the woodcutter, and he could realize that that woodcutter was in same shape, same thing, and he was doing the activities in the same way. He asked the woodcutter that I gave you a full specific particular jungle rich with sandalwood forest. What you are doing? And he then told him that when I gave you sandalwood forest, my intention was that you shall stop doing routine activities and you shall make value-added products from sandalwood and shall sell them so that your poverty can be taken care of. And story ends here. And let us go now to the scheme. And as far as the scheme is concerned, we will be visiting the two schemes. The two schemes. And the fine points of the schemes. First of all, micro scheme, because this is more dear to my heart. The smile on the faces of my micro clients, micro individuals who give me less fees, but their success encourages me. Therefore, I am coming to this scheme first. Scheme brochure, and this is scheme brochure. One district, one product, and you have just now seen the list where that you can identify which product has been identified from your district for food processing industry. And now see upgradation of individual micro food processing unit. We have discussed it that this is 10 lakh rupees and 35%. And beneficiary contribution minimum 10%. We have also talked about SHG, FPO and cooperatives. And SHG is loosely developed self-help group. There is no law where SHGs are registered. SHGs are recognized by the banks. And now because small finance banks are there, and most of the small finance banks works through the SHGs. If you have not done any assignment for SHG, then my advice will be just for the sake of fun, just for the sake of enjoying your practice, if you can do one SHG assignment even in next 2 years, then that will give you a lot of satisfaction. And you will get lot of love from the members of self-help group. But to find out this self-help group, you may have to leave the comfort of the big cities, because these self-help groups are available in the big villages and semi-urban setups. Common infrastructure, as I was talking about the common infrastructure, that common processing facility, laboratories, warehouse, cold storage, packing, even incubation centers, they are covered over here for this common infrastructure. Branding and marketing support. Yes, there is a reason that these are micro units. For them, marketing and branding and packaging, this is luxury they cannot afford. Therefore, this has been thought of that let us unite them so that they can get the benefit of this branding and marketing support through common infrastructure. And now see, the scheme also talks about that procedure for applying, and you can glance through whenever you get time. And let me take you back from here. Because scheme, whenever you want to connect your client with any scheme, then you need to go through the guideline of the scheme, because guideline provides you the insight and you can gauge whether as a professional you will be able to reach to the last point or not. So this is the guideline of PMFME scheme. You can see this is not the old scheme, this is the latest scheme, got launched on 22nd June 2020, and this scheme tenure is 5 years, and next 5 years government wants to focus on this scheme in MOFPI, and the outlay for this particular scheme is 10,000 crores, which will be distributed all across India. Whether one of your client will be able to take benefit, that depends on whether you will do the hand holding or not. because these clients may not be able to give you the fabulous fees, but for getting their love, getting their affection, to enjoy the broad smile of success on their face. If you enjoy these things, only then focus on PMFME, otherwise focus on PMKSY. PMKSY has big potential. Now see, the scheme guideline says that there is focus on 4 things. Number 1, support to individual and group of micro enterprises. Second is branding and marketing support. Third is support for strengthening of the institutions. And fourth is project management framework. Micro enterprises. Everybody is not made to work for micro enterprises. And every age group is not suitable to work for micro enterprises. Because for micro enterprises, even their level work you need to do yourself as a professional. Means you are on both sides of the table. Documentation is usually a casualty. Therefore, it is quite complicated to work with micro enterprises. Now see, from point number 9, because up to point number 8, more or less scheme in detail, and the points which could not be included in a scheme, they are mentioned in detail. And thereafter, this various committees, approval committees, they start. Committees for various components. And here there is a provision for district resource person, and there is provision for a state nodal agency, so that a scheme can be implemented all across India in effective way. District level structure. District level structure is also provided. By this time, all the districts with the potential of food processing industry, one district, one product has been identified. That list is available. Now see this project implementation plan. Disbursement of funds. Because of this disbursement of fund, where there are 2 components, because of these 2 components, this PMFMA scheme is doing well in certain states, but may not be doing well in certain other states. For hilly states, sharing is 90-10, whereas in normal states, this sharing is 60-40 sharing. But the scheme says that there are activities which will be funded totally 100% by central government. Credit linkage, that subsidies are for credit linked. If there is no credit, then no subsidy. Because this scheme talks about the micro units, therefore PM Mudra Yojana is also mentioned over here. because requirement of the individual micro entrepreneur may not be for big loan. He may be happy just for the loan which is less than 10 lakh rupees. And because there are interface now available, therefore there is no need to go to a specific banker, and banker can be chosen on the window which is there for PM Mudra and 59 minutes and some other platforms. Let me take you to one important document. Okay. And another scheme which I was talking, where anyone and everyone can focus and where the subsidies are more, which are for organized sector. We talked about cold chain. We talked about food processing and preservation capacities. We talked about backward and forward linkages. We talked about HR and institutions. But we did not talk about mega food park because this is not for MSME. We did not talk about agro processing clusters, but let us see what all is there in this agro processing cluster. Again, this scheme is for cluster approach, and this scheme says that at least 5 processing units should be there. Then this will be treated as a cluster. And they are focused on the latest technologies which are being introduced for preservation of the foods. And on that way, this scheme is built over there. But because the focus of the scheme is different, therefore we have not covered it. But you can find opportunities for agro processing cluster also. Food safety and quality assurance under PMKSY. This is also there. Food testing laboratories. Then to set up the food testing laboratory, also the scheme is there. But usually, why this scheme I have not focused, though in R&D research and development I have told you, because most of the grant in this category happens to the government institutions only, and private institutions, government institutions do their self work. The involvement of professional is not very high over there. That is the reason that we have not covered this scheme, and we have not focused on this scheme. And frankly speaking, I have worked for forward and backward linkage. I have worked for cold chain. I have worked for processing unit. Micro entrepreneur, yes, I enjoy that. But as far as R&D center is concerned, I have yet to do my first assignment for this R&D center. Now this is the time to stop sharing this thing, and we can go for the questions which are raised by the participants during this period. Once we are go through the questions, then if participants are still there, I will put some simple questions for the participants. Sambhiji, whatever questions are there, we can take those questions now. before moving forward.
Sir, questions at the end of the session, we can take it the questions.
See, now this session is only open for question and answers. And after that, once questions are completed, then I will be putting some simple questions in chat box. Otherwise, I can take the participants through creation of the login ID and password, and then after this login ID and password creation, then the form opens up and other things, so that online filing things are there. How can I see the questions, Sambhiji?
Sir, I am asking the questions right now.
Okay.
MSME scheme for trading business.
Yes. This is the question of 2021, because traders have been included in MSME now, and two separate classifications have been provided. One classification is for warehouse for wholesale traders, and second classification is for retail traders. And now traders are also eligible to enjoy the fruits of the schemes which are available for MSME. But certainly traders cannot take the benefit of expansion which we were talking right now here, but they are eligible to take benefits of CGT MSC scheme. One such scheme where traders can take the benefit is CGT MSE, Credit Guarantee Trust scheme, and Credit Guarantee Trust for micro and small enterprises. And micro and small enterprises are decided on the basis of two criteria. Criteria number one, investment in plant and machinery. Criteria number two is turnover. Now, in case of traders, there is a challenge that investment in plant and machinery is near to nil. And still as of now, there is no such guideline. Therefore, on this criteria, maybe that most of the traders will fall in micro category. But there is second category. And that second criteria is turnover. 5 crores for micro, 50 crores for small, and 250 crores for medium level enterprises. That means a trader who is doing the trading of more than 5 crores, he will be bracketed in small category, and he can avail the loan under hybrid approach of CGT MSE. In CGT MSE, hybrid approach has been adopted. All of you are aware, and this hybrid approach says that up to 75% of the loan, means we need to educate the client that even if you are going for CGT MSE, partial collateral security is to be provided by you, because this partial collateral security is important. Only then the loan will happen. This is that yes, retail traders and wholesale traders, they can avail the benefit of certain schemes, but they cannot avail the benefit of the schemes which some of the schemes. For example, another scheme where a trader can get the benefit is subsidy for exhibition. This exhibition subsidy will be eligible, and the traders will also be eligible for taking the benefit of exhibition subsidy, which is there and varies from 50% to 75%. Let me move to next question. And The questions have been pasted here by Sambhiji, Dr. Sambhiji, a good friend of mine. What is the support available for cluster development? See, this cluster development support is something else. Basically, this PMKSY says that support, while providing the subsidy support, preference will be given. Number one, preference will be for mega food park. And second preference will be for cluster units. And cluster has been cleared over there, and this has been mentioned that if 5 similar units are located anywhere, then that will be treated as a cluster. So this is cluster approach, and in cluster the support is provided not to the cluster as a whole, but for these separate units. There is another question: what is the support available for skill development? For skill development under Ministry of Food Processing scheme, 3 components are there. Component number 1, development of a new course which is not already available. For that, subsidy is 5 lakh rupees. Translation of the course, maybe that course is developed in English. If it is developed in English, then there may be need of translation in the regional language or in Hindi or in other languages. That is small subsidy of 50,000 rupees for translation of the course. And third subsidy is to set up the skill center. This skill center development subsidy says that if there is any need of plant and machinery, then 50% to the extent of 15 lakh. That is third component of this subsidy portion. This is regarding the 3 components of skill development. Another question pasted by Dr. Samved is, what support is provided by Ministry for improving manufacturing competitiveness? Yes. And while deliberating on PMFME scheme, I told about that not only the new entities, but existing entities looking for upgradation by way of taking new plant and machinery or upgrading the plant and machinery, this scheme benefit is available for micro units to the extent of 10 lakh rupees. But this subsidy of 10 lakh rupees is linked with the credit. This is credit linked capital subsidy and one-time subsidy, and one person, one family concept is also applicable. ODOP concept is also applicable, but as far as improvement is concerned, even if product is beyond ODOP, that means suppose one district is identified for foxnut, but some other product is being produced in that unit, whether this subsidy is available? Answer is yes, this is available. Now there is another question: what support is provided by the ministry to promote energy conservation in the manufacturing process for SMEs unit, small medium enterprises? And add another M also here, then this will become MSME. And as far as energy conservation is concerned, for energy conservation, various schemes on various times are launched. Presently, there is a UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and energy conservation scheme from UNIDO is best scheme where subsidy up to 30 lakh rupees is available for energy conservation. There is another scheme for replacement of the motors, and for that energy scheme one has to go on the portal of Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and on that Bureau of Energy Efficiency, the detail of this scheme for replacement of the motors that is available. But the best scheme as far as energy conservation for MSME sector is the scheme which is presently run by UNIDO, UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, because India is also part of that. And in my city, many SME units are beneficiary of this energy efficiency subsidy. We have one of the organization in Faridabad. I belong to Faridabad, which is known by the name I am SME of India. I am also one of the proud member of I am SME of India. There we facilitate various subsidies to our members. And I am neither the director nor the shareholder. I am one of the member, but think tank also, where we connect with various subsidy schemes to MSME units of our city and beyond as well. There is another question: is there support available for obtaining ISO certification? Answer is yes. This ISO certification subsidy is also available, and there is another subsidy which is for credit rating. Credit rating subsidy is upfront subsidy. For ISO certification, subsidy is also there, and third subsidy is there for barcoding. Barcoding, as I was talking, that to enter into organized retail, one manufacturing unit needs barcode allotment, and there is centralized agency for issuance of the barcode. Initial fees is there, annual fees is there, minimum pack of 100 is to be purchased for barcode, because product may be same, but various times the company may come out with various schemes, so that series is same, sequencing is not broken. Therefore barcode subsidy, but barcode subsidy is not upfront subsidy. Credit rating subsidy is upfront subsidy. ISO subsidy is also reimbursement subsidy, not upfront subsidy. Let me now go to next question. What support is provided by ministry to adopt latest quality management standard and quality technology tools? I am not aware about this scheme, quality management standard and quality tools. I am aware about JED scheme. JED was another slogan, zero effect, zero defect, and this has been allotted to Quality Council of India. Quality Council of India is project monitoring agency for JED scheme, and as far as this JED scheme is concerned, there are 5 levels starting from silver going up to platinum to take a unit from common standards to world-class standards. And there are 3 types of subsidies available through MSME for this JED scheme implementation, so that an entity can move from silver or non-silver stage to the platinum stage, to the platinum standards. And platinum standards means matching of the world-class standards in respect of quality. And as a professional, I also want to share that if you are in young age bracket, then you can do this JED Council training, and you can become JED auditor, or you can even become handholder, so that you can advise your client, and part of your fees will be reimbursed by Government of India through a mechanism. What support, next question, what support is provided by Ministry for enabling MSME to get credit rating? Yes, there is one specific credit rating agency which goes with the name SAMIRA, SMERA. SME, you understand, and then credit rating agency, SME credit rating agency. This has been promoted by NSIC along with various bankers. And there is upfront subsidy for credit rating. And this upfront subsidy is to the extent of from 50% to 85%. And usually the entity has to shell out 10 or 15,000 rupees, and this credit rating, which is worth 55,000 or 65,000 rupees, happens. There is another question, what is cluster financing? Cluster financing, yes, this is good question. And cluster financing, I shall talk that cluster financing is basically where there are more than 5 units. As far as MOFPI is concerned, as we are talking about MOFPI today, that is mentioned in the scheme, this PMKSY scheme, that the second preference is given to the cluster. If 5 units of similar nature are in one particular area, then cluster financing is possible. But this cluster financing does not mean that there will be common liability on all 5 participants unless they create some common facility. If common facility is to be created, I am aware of one of the scheme which goes with the name tool room funding. And this is for creating common facility. But this is not food processing industry scheme. This is a scheme by Ministry of MSME. And this scheme says that if tool room is to be developed through common facility, then minimum 10 entrepreneurs need to join hands. And 80% of the expenditure of common facility will be reimbursed by central government. 10% additional will be reimbursed by state government, and expense of those 10 units put together will be 10%. That means 1% each. And this tool room facility, common facility can be developed through this scheme. There is another question, what is debt restructuring of advances? Yes, interesting question, debt restructuring of advances, and you are expert in that area as far as debt restructuring is concerned. When this corona came, at that time, the scheme was launched where one-time debt restructuring has been allowed in reference to the MSME sector. In 2016, RBI came out with specific guideline for MSME rehabilitation. And during this corona period, this was upgraded. And this year only there was separate scheme which was introduced and by the Reserve Bank of India for debt restructuring. Initially, there were challenges in the scheme, but now these challenges have been addressed, and up to 25 crores. The upper limit is up to 25 crores. One-time debt restructuring, but wisdom has been given to the bankers that if bankers are comfortable, then they can go for debt restructuring. And that is the reason that at grassroots level, this debt restructuring of advances, banks are very selective. Private banks are very strict, and they have not allowed any debt restructuring for MSME sector. Wherever and whatever, this statement I am giving on the basis of my own client basket, where the private banks are very conservative and they are not allowing debt restructuring. But some of the debt restructuring we done by Bank of Baroda and other public sector undertakings for our client in reference to MSME. What is the support available for collateral-free borrowing? This is another question. And dear, this collateral-free borrowing is possible through CGTMSE. But CGTMSE scheme as of now is not 100% collateral-free, because collateral-free borrowing only to the extent of 75% of the quantum of loan is allowed. For rest 25%, onus is on the entrepreneur to provide the collateral security. That is the reason that this is restricted to 75%, so that some responsibility comes on the bank manager as well. And that is the reason that even this scheme is not being liked by the banking industry, and they are not very comfortable. And for collateral, even for 25%, they are asking for a bond in the form of collateral security. And where an entrepreneur have to give the guarantee commission as well as he has to give the collateral security, which covers the loan as far as MSME at the grassroots level is concerned. There is another question: is guarantee benefit available to existing units of lending institution which has become a MLI of CGT MSC? No, only for the fresh loan. What are state government subsidies for food processing industry? You need to check with your state, and then today we are covering the central government schemes, and every state has some policy. As far as Haryana is concerned, which is my state, there are number of schemes, and schemes are advertised by way of half page and full page advertisement every week. And there are schemes for not only for the food processing, but there are schemes even for the collection centers. There are schemes even for growing of horticulture, even for developing a jungle, even for developing a forest. And multiple schemes are there which are being advertised almost on weekly basis by government of Haryana. You can check for your state for the state government scheme. Which entities are entitled capital to be introduced? Which entities are entitled MSME scheme and capital to be introduced by such entities? Capital to be introduced as far as MOFPI, this is mentioned in various components of the scheme. In most of these schemes, this is 20% in common areas and 10% in hilly areas, and 20% and 10% of either the project cost or the expansion cost. That is the component which is to be introduced by the entrepreneur. Are these schemes are MOFPI and CLCSS or different schemes? Interesting question. And one has to see, because you cannot take the benefit of more than one scheme, which scheme is more beneficial to your client. And if whichever scheme is more beneficial to your client, suggest client to go for that scheme. Are units located outside food park eligible for this subsidy? Answer is yes, they are eligible, but priority list says that mega food park and after that cluster and after that ODOP. There is another question that in ODOP means in one district subsidy is available for that product only. Yes, you are right. For new units, this subsidy is available for processing of that product only. But if it is existing unit, then for existing units for expansion, this is available for other products as well. Whether the sample detailed project reports are available in the site, which site same is available. We saw one of the detailed project report. These are available on the portal. You can go through that and you can make your report better or according to the model project reports which are available. Definition of cost of project for claim. See, cost of project, as I told you, that in case of food processing industry, what is mentioned in the scheme? It is mentioned in the scheme that eligible plant and machinery plus technical civil work. Now understand the civil work. Civil work is what? Nothing but building on land. And this building has been subdivided into two components. One is non-technical civil work, which can be considered as a simple infrastructure. And there is another aspect. That aspect is technical civil work, means say development of the cold storage. Then there are civil work can be subdivided into two. Technical civil work is considered for the subsidy, but non-technical civil work is not considered for the subsidy in addition to eligible plant and machinery. Is there any subsidy scheme for dry warehouse on the lines of NABARD rural godown scheme? See, if you love to work in rural areas, then you must get connected not only with NABARD but also with NAV skill, because very easy to avail the benefit, and in every district there is one officer only, district development manager, DDM, known as DDM. And NABARD offices are lean offices where single officer in your district is the nodal point for sharing the information, for giving the clarities, and online application is possible. And this subsidy through NABARD, nowadays it is easy to get subsidy, to get connected and get subsidy disbursed from NABARD. Where can we get DPR? During the session, we had the demo where DPRs, one of the DPR was visited, and there are approximately 100 plus DPRs available on this portal. For each and every new project, bank asking for 3 years ITR, but all are new. They won't have 3 years ITR. How bank will give loan? You know better than me answer of this question, and with the experience you will learn. Wholesale trade, any credit limit or criteria for MSME classification? As of now, not. As of now, no such criteria. And wholesale trade and retail trade, how we understand that if it is B2B, business to business, this is wholesale trade. If this is business to consumer, then this is retail trade. So further clarification, as of now, not available on MSE portal, MSME portal. Whether manufacturing of papad included in this scheme? Answer is yes, because papads are prepared from cereals or pulses and have many other agro ingredients. They must be, and they are covered under this scheme. How to register in MSME? In Udyam registration, only manufacturer and service sector are there. No trader option not given. See, go on MSME portal, dear. Write back to the government. Write back again to the government, and portal is being upgraded so that traders category can be included. But very recently, my team did one registration for trader, and kindly revisit because they did it only last week. Maybe that now this option is available, and there is classification 55, 56. Kindly see the exact number of the classification where wholesale and retail, first is wholesale and then there is retail. At least click in that category so that your client is identified as a trader. Can franchise restaurant claim any kind of benefit under any of the scheme? I don't think so. What is the time period within which subsidy proposal is approved? Yes, challenging question. And time period depends upon, and challenging question and interesting answer. Time period depends upon completion of the documentation and information. Assistance in rent to MSCs for shed and plot developed by private developers. It is not available. Providing financial assistance on barcode. Yes, there is a portal for barcode registration, centralized portal. And on this portal, first you need to register. After that, you need to apply for the subsidy. And if you are having Udyam registration number, then this subsidy happens, which is for one-time registration fees and for reimbursement of first 3 years from 50% to 85%. So this is subsidy for barcode. What loan schemes are available for a startup software company which is having a patent registered? Now this is what loan schemes are available for a startup software company which is having a patent registered. For this, I shall mention that the best thing is SIFFS. Seed India Startup Fund Scheme. And this scheme has two components. First component is up to 20 lakh. And this component is in the form of grant. Second component is up to 80 lakh rupees, and this is in the form of loan. And this is and this 20 lakh and 80 lakh, this happens through incubation center. This will not happen through the banks. This startup Seed India Fund scheme is being implemented through incubation center. And these incubation center list is available. List of incubation center is available on Startup India portal. But while getting connected, while getting enlisted your client company to the incubation center, be aware that this incubation center has been empaneled for SISFS scheme. The Startup India Seed Fund scheme. This scheme was started in February 2021 only, but by this time now this scheme is there on ground and things have started happening. Anyway, let me go to another question, that is, what are the offerings of Mudra? How will Mudra function? Yes, see, let me take this question, that Mudra is basically a subsidiary company of SIDBI. This has been created to give the funding facility to the micro entrepreneurs, and there are three components of this Mudra scheme: Shishu, Kishore, etc. And there the quantum of the loan is defined. There is a portal, Mudra portal. On that portal, one can upload and one can select the bank. And as far as Mudra loan is concerned, there is no subsidy. One need to understand that in Mudra loan, there is no subsidy. Second thing is that this Mudra loan is collateral free loan. There is, Dr. Samvit Patra has put another question. What is credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt? See, this credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt is outcome of Corona period. In Corona period, what happened? That some of the stressed MSMEs, but MSMEs which were working, for them this credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt was introduced. And under this scheme, debt is released not for the business entity, but it is released in the hands of the entrepreneur, with the condition that entrepreneur will introduce the same amount in the business, either in the form of equity or in the form of debt. What is the reason why this scheme puts the money in the hands of the entrepreneur? Because that business entity is already under financial stress. Because it is under financial stress means that it is not eligible for additional debt. Because it is not eligible for additional debt, therefore this subordinate debt happens in the hands of the entrepreneur. And now when it happens in the hands of entrepreneur, there is a guarantee component. Means because company is in stress, loan is being given to the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur means the person who is not having the additional collateral. If he would have been having the additional collateral, he would have taken the loan. Therefore, this guarantee component has been introduced in this CGSSD scheme. And this guarantee component takes care of two types of things. Number one, that this guarantee is introduced, guarantee is given by CGT MSE. There is another entity as CGT MSE and that extends the guarantee. But the instruments which are issued by the business entity to the entrepreneurs, if these are equity shares introduced as equity, then equity share certificates are there. If these are in the form of loan, then this is additional security which is also available to the bankers under CGT, not CGT, but CGSSD. So this is credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt. There was cutoff date that on this cutoff date, if that account is NPA, then this credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt is available. But there was another condition that though the account is NPA, but that MSME is still functional, means still under production. If it is those two conditions are met, only such entities were eligible for taking the benefit of credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt. Initially, when this scheme was launched, this scheme was not liked by the banking industry, and there were apprehensions by the banking industry.
We are thankful to Dr. Ajay Garg for his nice and wonderful deliberation. With this, we conclude this virtual CP meeting. We are thankful to all the participants for their patience hearing. Thank you to all.